1.
Hello, my name is Eric Peterson. I serve as Senior Vice President for Policy with the After School Alliance. We are pleased to present to you today a session on funding the future, strategies for sustaining high-quality after-school programs. A version of this was presented at the Engage Every Student Summit in July of 2024 in Washington, D.C. Next slide. Next slide. I'm joined by my colleagues, Nikki Galani at the After School for Children and Teens Now, or ACT Now Coalition out of Illinois, and Hillary Oravec of the National Comprehensive Centers at WestStat. Again, my name is Eric Peterson. I serve as Senior Vice President for Policy at the After School Alliance. Next slide. Today, we'll talk about navigating federal funding streams, the importance at the state level of sustaining programs, and then Hillary will conclude us with some strategies on developing plans and partnerships to sustain after-school and summer learning programs. Next slide. So while funding is not the only key to sustainability, being aware of and being able to access federal and other funding sources is key to continuing programs. Next slide. Funding is needed to sustain programs in a wide range of scenarios, including if a program has a 21st Century Community Learning Center grant and is at the end of their 5-year grant and needs to continue the program on. But also right now, there's a large national need for sustaining after-school and summer programs as the upcoming liquidation deadline for the American Rescue Plan elementary and secondary emergency relief funding is upon us. The After School Alliance estimates that about $8.1 billion in ESSER 3 funds along with another $2.1 billion in state and local fiscal recovery funds for a total of $10.2 billion in combined American Rescue Plan COVID recovery funding was used to support after-school and summer programs for about 5 million students over the last 3 years. While the funding deadline for those ESSER funds is in late January 2025, the need for continued support for young people in the hours when school is out does not have a deadline. The need for accelerated learning and for supporting student well-being, for providing healthy meals in the hours outside of school, as well as physical activity, youth workforce development skills, and so many more things that after-school and summer programs excel at will continue well after the January 2025 funding deadline. Next slide. The good news is that there's a wide range of federal funding available to support after-school and summer programs, and that there's a lot of organizations and individuals, including us on the recording today, who want to help school and community-based after-school program providers be able to continue to fund their program and fully access and leverage the funding that's available. For school district-run after-school programs or summer learning programs, the formula funds that are provided to schools through Title I Part A of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, and also Title IV Part A, which is the Student Support and Academic Enrichment Grant Program, both can be used to support after-school and summer programs after ARP or American Rescue Plan funds sunset. School districts who serve low-income students are provided these funds through formula, and while they can be used for a wide range of different uses, they are also can be used to support after-school and summer programs. For community-based programs and nonprofits, the 21st Century Community Learning Center grants, which are competed just about every year through state departments of education, offer an opportunity to apply for a 3 to 5 year grant. And for older youth after-school programs, career tech education funding to schools can be an option, or youth workforce development funding available through local workforce boards can be an option for nonprofits as well. And beyond the federal education funding, there's Child Care Development Block Grant voucher programs for qualifying parents of school-aged children. There's AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps Vista, which can help with staffing of after-school and summer programs. And there's Department of Agriculture after-school meal and summer food programs that can help reimburse the cost of food. The resources linked here on the slide, including the Wallace Foundation's Guide to Funding, provide more information on these and many more federal funding sources. And the After School Alliance Program Toolkit has a link to sustainability and funding page. And also on the Engage Every Student page, you can find fact sheets and resources and links to webinars that can help you guide yourself through some of the funding streams available. And as always, we're a resource and are happy to help think through options beyond the federal programs. And so now to think about options beyond the federal programs, I'll turn the floor over to my colleague, Nikki of ACT Now, Illinois, who will dive into more opportunities. Nikki.
Thanks, Eric. So we've talked a bit about what sustainability opportunities are available at the federal level, but we also wanted to spend some time thinking through what this means at the state level. Act Now is a statewide after-school network in Illinois, so we have the opportunity to assess sustainability across the state, and we're also very uniquely positioned to help support programs in their sustainability efforts. So I want to share with folks what the landscape of sustainability looks like Illinois for after school and what themes we've been noticing over the years. One of the major challenges we're facing in Illinois is the lack of consistent funding opportunities, both in terms of consistency of the opportunity being released, but also consistency in how the funding is managed, how much funding is available, and consistency in practices for renewal and continuation opportunities. Additionally, in Illinois, and this is a bit tied to the previous point, the priorities of our state education agency and other state agencies that are responsible for funding much of the childcare in the state lean heavily into early childhood learning, and we've seen a shift in investment opportunities that favor early childhood and aren't as heavily invested in school age. As I'm sure is present in other states as well, our programs experience pretty consistent staff turnover and have difficulty with retention, which means that programming can sometimes lack quality due to consistent cycles of on and offboarding. We also face some difficulty in gathering buy-in from our school districts. Our districts typically don't invest their own funds in after-school programming and are resistant to partnerships with community-based organizations in our state. Finally, the landscape in our rural and urban suburban areas differ very greatly, which means that responses and sustainability mechanisms need to be so individualized. And in addition to that, many of our grant opportunities bias urban or suburban areas, which results in inequitable access to funds statewide. Another theme we see in Illinois is that folks are highly grant dependent. Though they might have a diverse funding portfolio, there's limited independent funding coming in, which means that programs are feeling instability at least every few years, if not annually come the end of the fiscal year. The final major barrier we face in Illinois is that there are changes made to RFP language, specifically for 21st century and the after-school programs grants, which are the largest and most consistent funding streams in our state that have hindered sustainability by adjusting to offer no continuation opportunities. Further, those changes, along with other important information from the state, are not clearly communicated to programs. And so that lack of communication and transparency from our state agencies leaves programs scrambling to meet new funding requirements at the last minute or adjust to new reporting mechanisms last minute, things like that. Additionally, there's no state line item in Illinois for after school, which makes it difficult for programs rolling off of federal funds to access funding that's comprehensive enough to sustain their programs at the end of the grant term. In terms of opportunities we see for sustainability, in Illinois, we have continued to be large advocates for collaboration and partnership structures. We invest a lot of our resources at the network into advising districts and community-based organizations about the benefits of partnerships, how to develop strong partnerships, and in fostering those partnership relationships. We also always push programs in and out of Illinois to leverage and lean on their state networks to help them build capacity and identify sustainability strategies that are responsive to the needs of their state. We have seen a lot of innovative sustainability strategies in Illinois that actually have engaged partnerships. We've seen a lot of agencies writing collaborative grant applications with other community-based organizations, and then sometimes with their school districts as well. And we've seen a lot of business sponsorships in some of our more urban areas of the state as well. Something Act Now is pushing is the integration of out-of-school time in the school day budget. So pushing districts to invest some of their evidence-based funding or title funds that they're receiving into a line item for after school in their annual budgets. It has been a key strategy that we have employed at the state level to help pursue greater statewide sustainability. We have devised advisory councils for key funding streams in our state to lead those advocacy initiatives and champion some of our policy change efforts. And these councils have also been helpful in keeping Act Now close to the ground in terms of being responsive in our advocacy and in our resource development. We're very active as the network in providing public comment at our state education agency board meetings and in equipping providers and our membership to provide comment as well. And we've also seen that involving family and community members in this advocacy through encouraging them to write letters or signing up for action alerts has been really beneficial in demonstrating need to our elected officials, and has in some cases led to elected officials sponsoring programs independently as well. We also hold town hall meetings for some of our major funding streams to help streamline the communication and transparency to those providers, since that isn't being provided by our state agencies. And finally, we are consistently meeting with our elected officials to keep these issues top of mind. As I mentioned previously, Act Now is the statewide after-school network in Illinois. We work alongside the After School Alliance to ensure that youth across our state and across the nation have access to high quality, affordable programs after school and during out of school time. We do this in a number of ways, and a few of those are listed on the screen. But as the network, we work to support our membership in building strong programs and in turn sustaining them. One of the most recent tools that we've developed for our membership is called SPEAR. It stands for Sustainable Programs for Education and After-School Resources. And this is a comprehensive platform for providers to find funding opportunities to help sustain their programs. This tool specifically does not include opportunities like 21st Century or Teen Reach, which are the larger funding streams in our state, because of the fact that, for one thing, folks typically know about them, but also because this tool is meant to find opportunities to help sustain pieces of programs that have been developed by those comprehensive funding streams that can't be sustained once they roll off of funding. So these are almost like supplemental sources of funding for these programs. The tool lists out best practices for applying to each of the specific funding opportunities listed, as well as I lost my train of thought. But they include funding streams at the federal level as well as the state level. So it's pretty comprehensive for our programs. The tool also includes a section that's dedicated to specific sustainability practices that aren't just finding other funding sources, such as partnership development, blending and braiding funding, civic engagement, advocacy, things like that. And so I highly encourage folks to at least look it over, even if you're not based in Illinois, as a tool to help you get started to thinking about sustainability. And I'll pass it over to Hillary.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nikki, for sharing a really strong example of sustainability considerations and strategies in your state. And hello out there, I'm Hillary Oravec with the National Comprehensive Center. And before we close out, we want to share a few resources that you can use in your work for sustainability planning. Go to the next slide. So we'd like to start with a working definition for sustainability, and encourage you all to think about it as an adaptive leadership challenge that is comprised of both collaborative strategy work and also really important programmatic work. On the strategy front, we want people to work with partners on an ongoing basis to really intentionally prepare for change. Whether it's dips in funding, changes in policy, or leadership, the one thing that is certain is change itself. And on the program side, this is just as critical. We want people to work to strengthen the durability of their programs. Go to the next slide. And so what makes a program durable? This slide overviews some of the qualities of durable programs and the facets of sustainability. At the highest level, leaders and program providers work to make sure that they have strong planning in place that leads to quality programs and ultimately has strong engagement and satisfaction. Underneath all of that and at a deeper level, they're also working to achieve having a clear vision, ensuring that they have strong partnerships in place and committed leaders and staff, and that they're all also using data to ensure that they have positive outcomes and high attendance. We'll go to the next slide. And so all of this work is in service of building support for your programs. So one entry point that we really like to encourage people to consider is to organize well-planned site visits for community leaders. This tip sheet from Engage Every Student Partners highlights the steps that you can take before, during, and after a visit to ensure that your partners come in and community leaders come in understanding why your program is important, how it aligns to their own needs and priorities, and how they can support you moving forward. This tip sheet and others can be downloaded on the Engage Every Student site at engageeverystudent.org. Thank you very much for joining us today.